And we're live. Hello. Hi, how are you? Okay, I'm looking at my hat. Okay. So, welcome, Raw Talk listeners. This is Melissa Hill, Raw Talk. I am Melissa Hill, and this is Raw Talk. Today is April 2nd, 2019, and as usual, I got some adjusting to do here. So, sorry for the delay. I can see that it kind of scared some people off. Where's everybody? Where's my usual people? Come on, people. Let me see. All right, live chat. Okay, so we have Lewis. Hi, Lewis, and we have. Oh, we got to make sure I got the volume down on this. Okay, and we have podcast by Mata. Hi, Joe. All right, let's get this out of the way here. Okay, there we go. All righty. Now we're cooking. What is it? Now we're cooking with oil. We're cooking with grease. Something like that. So, all right. We almost got it down. All right. Okay, cool. All right.
Not pretty, but it's gonna
Right.
be perfect.
It's just getting there. There's a lot of all rights and hellos and how you doing. A person over in the behind the camera person, behind the Shelly. Could you hand me my glasses, please? All right. They're in the glasses case, black, sitting right on top. Yeah, thank you. Okay. All right. So today is Autism Awareness Day, is it not? Welcome. I know that I have listeners who are autistic. There's Chris. I believe Chris is going to be joining us. So Autistic Awareness Day, or is it Autistic Awareness Month?
It's month, but today's the kickoff.
Oh, today's the
official
kickoff.
day.
All right. So as you can see, I have more new equipment that I'm still figuring out. And so I'm deciding I like the microphone in front of my face. This is, we try to keep it off camera, but you know what? I like it in front of my face because that's the way it was over at that station I used to be on. Okay, so first off, I think we need to slightly adjust this right there. There we go. Thanks, camera guy. You're awesome. So sitting to my left, now I usually sit on the other side, but oh look, I got a blue light on my chin. Isn't that fun? Okay. I wanted the microphone. See. All right. Okay. All right. Sitting to my left, I am joined by a woman that I've known since she was not a woman, since before she was a woman. I hope she doesn't mind me saying that. I knew you before you became a woman. Right. So her name is Lourdes, and I will let Lourdes introduce herself as far as how we know each other, because I don't know if we can give away that secret. Are we allowed to give away that secret?
Is it a secret?
I don't know. Well, because I try to respect everyone's privacy.
Oh, yeah,
and
common knowledge.
Right. Okay.
We dance
dance together. So Lourdes and I knew because we studied at the same ballet school. So you've heard me talk about over the past couple weeks. Actually, I think why don't we just go ahead and introduce Logan?
I know.
Yeah. So
Logan
right. So we have there's a fourth member of the show. This guy on the side here, pay no attention to him. Shelly, do you think you could rotate the camera a little bit so we can see Logan? No.
Extra noise.
Oh yeah, there we go. We don't even have to move the. We don't even have to move the.
Logan, say hi.
He's doing gymnastics right now or something. It looks like some sort of tumbling.
There we go.
and he had a really cool hat on, but okay, you're gonna have to redo that angle there, Shelly. Yeah, little bit. Okay, you're seeing too much of my hips, dude. Like, raise it up. Wow. Okay, I deserve that one today because I've been bossing him around for the past hour. So Shelly was kind enough to his work got finished. He finished his work early today, and I was desperate in need of help, and he came to help me. And thank you very much, Shelly. And so yeah, I deserve that little wisecrack. Yeah. Okay. So however, now we've got to re-angle a little bit. There we go. All right. Okay, so Lourdes and I have known each other since she was 4 or 6.
Yeah.
Very
young.
And we didn't see each other for many, many years. Next thing I know, we get in touch, and she has 2 children, and other things going on in her life, and one of her children is autistic, which is why we're here today. So next to Lourdes is Dr. Bob.
No, he's not a doctor.
Oh, he's not Dr. Bob.
pretends to be one
He
on
just plays one on TV, or he plays one on a podcast.
He knows enough to be a doctor.
He plays one on YouTube.
There you go.
Okay, so all right, Bob, could you? So you're part of Zero Plus, right?
That's correct.
Okay, we're not here. We're not making a commercial necessarily, but so you work with cannabinoids.
Yes, we do.
Okay, all right, and audience members, listeners are probably getting to hear CBD a lot more often these days. But that's secondary to he's secondary to she's the one. No. The cannabinoid topic is secondary to what we're going to be starting off with, which was discussing autism awareness. Now, I am aware there is something called autism. I've heard of things, a spectrum in relation to autism. I have no idea what that means. Could you explain a little bit?
Yeah. So with individuals on the spectrum, it is a spectrum disease in the sense that not one person is the same. So what ails one may not ail the other. There's certain commonality and there's certain threads, as you can hear in the background. Just someone who's enjoying life and totally oblivious that there's a radio show going on. So for a lot of people, they don't understand. They mostly associate autism with sensationalized movies like Rain Man, and that is a form of autism. It's a savant form that is the minority of most who are on the spectrum. So there's a variance of how it affects each individual, but there are common threads. So that's why they call it spectrum disease.
So I'm not sure. So this right here is the chat. I'm just going to introduce. I can't.
Sure.
I don't know.
You guys
So as you can
closer
see,
together. We did.
well, no, that's not.
Oh.
We can get into that later.
Okay.
We can't slide closer together because these chairs are kind of big.
Right.
So we're as close together as we possibly can be. All right. So I'm trying to figure out how come.
See, my son's autistic.
Right. Exactly. That's what I was trying to get to. So I have listeners that have children who are autistic. And I mentioned to you, I have a former guest and listener named Chris who is autistic.
Mm-hmm.
He said he was okay. Here we go. So Joe,
I think that's
I thought that was me. I was like, oh, we got another technical issue. Sorry, probably couldn't see a lot of that going on.
Sound
So
effects are going to be coming. From
Okay.
Logan,
All right.
for sure.
Okay, so so Joe says his son is autistic. He actually lives up in the northern regions of the state. And Nick, who's he's from a Mormon state. He has a nephew who's autistic. Okay, so I'm gonna let you guys watch the chat. I'm gonna
Sure.
peek over your shoulder. I think there's a way to get it to look bigger. There we go.
Okay, cool.
All right, so I can see it.
Yeah. And they'll just pop up as they come up.
Right. There's gonna be a slight delay. All right. So Lourdes' son is 14. And when did you first realize that he wasn't average?
Yeah. Well, that early onset was about 14. Well, no, he was diagnosed around 14 months. So it was earlier than. No, I'm sorry. I'm kind of losing my mind here. He was diagnosed at 2.5, but I started seeing onset about 14 months. And so there was a time, and I'm going to leave my own personal bias as to why I think my son is on this journey, because I think it's controversial, and I don't need to go into that because it doesn't really matter at this moment. So he started showing signs at 14 months. He regressed. He lost all of his speech and lost a lot of eye contact. Started playing with toys inappropriately, would take them and spin them, wouldn't play with them how typically most children would, like interacting and doing pretend play. So that was gone. And then he started seeking a lot of deep pressure, and I would find him buried under blankets and soft things, just trying to seek that sensory input. So I started seeing things, and then I spoke to his pediatrician, who then recommended that he be screened.
Okay, so now I've just scanned through here.
Mhm.
Now, so you're saying that he seemed to be progressing, quote unquote, normally.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, actually,
Like
he was
a typical
Matt,
baby.
actually,
right?
he was progressing faster than my daughter did. And I was a nanny for many, many years. And so he was actually babbling at a very young age, and he was articulating words at a very young age. And then by 14 months, he started to lose all of his speech.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it was not an overnight, but it was quite quick.
Now I think I've heard of that before
Yeah.
on other programs, and so okay. Oh, I lost the chat again. Gosh darn it. I saw I was okay. Where'd it go? Live chat. Someone said okay. All right, so Joe said that his son tested positive for 25 out of the 26 characteristics of the state. Okay, so I'm learning something. So there's 26 characteristics that will qualify someone as being autistic. So
Sure.
does that mean, is that what the spectrum is?
Yeah, I mean, there's markers, you know,
Uh-huh.
like obviously, a lot of people sometimes think that their children are actually deaf because they're not responding to their name, they're not responding to anybody's vocal cues. So, and then there's no eye contact for a lot of the kiddos. So I think a lot of people think, oh, I need to have this hearing screen. So you go through all the gamut of doing all these other testing, but there are some traits that are common. So the loss of speech, the eye contact is gone, the inappropriate play is prevalent, and just the developmental delays. So they're just basically, and for lack of better term, they're sitting and spinning in a sense. They're not progressing forward, and some of them are actually moving backwards. So they're losing a lot of what they already had gained at certain milestones.
Okay. Looks like we got a window adjustment thing here again. All right, excuse me. So, all right, thank you. I had to, Shelly, thank you for the pillow. Okay. Now when you found out, so how many years did it take years, or was it that the first time you took them got them tested that they were already like?
Well, we were living in Washington.
Again, I was like, technicals, what?
Yeah, he's just singing out loud.
I was gonna say, he's pretty
We're
good.
just sitting here playing along. So we were living in Washington State at that time, and so I got him into early child intervention through the state of Washington. So we started therapy without having a diagnosis, because unfortunately, to get into a lot of ABA therapists, which is applied behavioral therapy, which is typical for most kiddos on the spectrum as early intervention, you need to have an official diagnosis. So we got on the list, and the list was lengthy, but luckily for us, we got pushed up the list because this psychologist in Washington State dealt mostly with just the early child intervention program in the area that we lived in. So his name's Dr. Stephen Glass, and so we got on his wait list, which was a couple months long. And then subsequently, I got Logan on 2 other wait lists in order to get the diagnosis, to get him off the wait list, to have him do direct one-on-one ABA therapy. So there's a lot of hoops, a lot of wait lists, a lot of just patience that you need to get, and very limited services. You know, talking about almost 14 years ago, things are a lot better now, but even back then it was painstaking. Just you're basically waiting for the diagnosis.
So as a parent, what is that like for you when you, because I know you have another child.
Yes.
So now you don't have to tell, I don't remember which one's older.
Shelby's older. Yeah.
Okay, so your first child was born without autism.
Right.
Okay, and so when Logan was born, and you got the diagnosis, I mean, how did you feel as a parent? Like, did you wonder, is there something that you did? Like, what do most, do you know, a lot of parents, I'm sure, must think that there's something that they did
Of course.
during a pregnancy or something. So
Yeah.
was that, did
It
you go
wasn't-
through that?
Well, yeah, you go through a gamut of different feelings. I mean, I can't even list how many there are, but endless. And there was a pivotal time in his development that I felt one way and confronted the physician, and I was told, well, I was basically shamed not to think that way. So I walked out of there doing something that I didn't want to do, that I didn't feel like I needed to do, and was told that basically I would not be a good parent if I didn't. So
Okay.
there's a lot of that. There's a lot of the shaming, and there's a lot of guilt tripping between parents and the physicians.
Right. I've heard of that before, actually.
I walked out of many physician offices.
Right. I mean, because
Okay,
you know
that
your
is
child better than anybody
awful.
else.
100%.
Right. And
And you trust your gut.
right. And when
There's
you're
that.
because I had met other women in the past that had autistic children, and they go through changing the diet, too much oil or not enough oil, or things like that. So did you do that as well?
Yes.
And can you name some really quick?
Yeah.
Because I want to we're here to talk about treatments and
Yeah.
how you've seen changes in your son doing different
Yeah.
types of
I've
care
done
and
several
treatment.
different types of treatment,
Mhm.
and mostly, well, all of it has been of a very natural, holistic path. And so, most parents are told to put their children on psychotropic drugs, and I was just not willing to do that. I felt like there was an alternative way to help my son.
I was gonna say, all right. So if any of this conversation gets too much for you, just
Oh,
let
no,
me
no,
just
no.
hit me in
Gosh.
the knee or pinch me or something.
Now, I'm
Okay.
impervious to all this now because I've gone through it. Now, ask me 10 years ago, I would have probably.
Did you ever think that you'd see 14 years of this?
Sure.
Did you? I mean, you have to. I don't know, because I've known you since you were 6, so I guess you have to kind of grow up fast as a like it's.
Well, you have to get a very, very tough outer layer of skin, and you have to know that you are your child's biggest advocate. You are.
Right.
And so he doesn't have a voice. Like, he literally at one point didn't have a voice and couldn't articulate much of anything. So we came up with our own communication. I taught him sign language.
Oh wow.
He learned a lot from language cards. And from manding, what they call manding. So basically trying to get him to communicate. And he was in between 38 to 42 hours of ABA therapy every single week.
So AV, what is that?
Applied behavioral therapy. So basically, it's a one-on-one, typically, where you have a physician that basically tells you, it goes back and forth with the child. And what are you trying to do?
I was trying to fix your hat because I see you're holding it
Oh,
up.
it's okay. It's gonna look funky if I put it on top because
Of course, as you all know, where the hats are from. We'll get into that later.
So ABA therapy is directly one-on-one therapy with the child and a therapist, so that you try to create dialogue, whether that's through language cards or physical demands or vocal demands, and it's repetition. It's it is all about repetition, like trying to get them to go, to jog them to go, okay, now I need to ask for this. Now I need to request this, so that they're not just sitting there flapping their arms and having a wonderful stim and just completely blocking out the outside world. So you're trying to gain their attention and give them the tools so that they can be able to articulate and communicate in a more effective way and to cope.
Okay.
Because a lot of them have, coping issues.
Actually, that's what that was. I was sitting here going, I wanted to ask you about coping.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the things that I know about some autistic children is they have a strong reaction to loud noises.
Sure.
Okay, so you and I have already spoke, and Logan does. I was thinking of Lucas's Oil, that movie. You said he doesn't. Now, is that something that you've worked through to have him not have a strong reaction?
Yes.
Sort of like a training. Is that an appropriate?
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, repetitive behavior.
Yeah,
What's the correct term for that?
Well, I mean, learning how to get him to integrate in a social atmosphere,
Right.
because most individuals on the spectrum are more into themselves. They're in their own world. So when they go outside the world, all these outer influences, the light bulbs, the switches, fluorescent lights, noise, cars, weed whackers, lawnmowers, I mean, a baby crying, anything can seriously trigger them so
Right.
that they have sensory overload.
Okay, so how did you learn to deal with this? So, what are some of the tricks or things that you've discovered that work
Well,
for you?
obviously therapy is key for him, and then also we used noise canceling headphones for a long time, and actually putting him in situations where he had to cope.
Okay.
And so, I walked into a Walgreens before, and there's a song playing, and he starts plugging his ears, and you could tell he's agitated, and and you can see he's starting to have a metaphysical effect. It's really, really penetrating him on a deep level, where you would think any other child, you would just say, well, just get over it. Well, he can't get over it because it affects his entire body, his mind, his emotional state.
Okay.
And so I've walked.
It's
out
stressful.
places.
I mean, it's stressful for a lot of sensory overload, or I call it noise pollution. It's stressful for
Anybody.
a non-autistic person.
Correct.
I know someone who was just diagnosed with a stress disorder due to noise here
Right.
in our community. I mean, I've complained about it a lot. It's ridiculous. Gas blowers.
Sure.
You got two or three
Right.
lawnmower. We're directly the plane flight path of Burbank Airport. Nonstop. We're near one of the studios, one of the television studios. So it's like all day long, and it drives me crazy.
Right.
So which there was there was one thing that I was reading right here. So one of our listeners, Nick, he said that he was labeled as a high functioning autistic before the diagnosis turned to ADHD. So is that a common thing? Because you're both nodding like, oh yeah, we've heard of that.
I think we're nodding from different levels, because Lourdes has experienced it in the autism world, and we've experienced it that many times that diagnosis is not exactly what they say it is.
Not accurate.
So many times what we try to integrate is the harmony between brain waves, which can elicit a function or a reaction that people may deem ADHD, and then they treat it with medications that may not be the exact recipe of success for that, if we will.
Right. I mean, and so we're talking about, are we talking pharmaceuticals, nutraceuticals? What's the correct term for that?
There are certainly,
I mean, for, the typical
pharmaceutical
right.
type situations and dosing that autism children may have an option to take.
Yeah.
Some have an option to go the route that's more holistic, like Lourdes has done with Logan. Many times we talk to people who they're managing their kids' symptoms with 1, 2, or 3 or 4 different prescriptive medicines that may not be the proper results when they're all mixed together, but they don't know better. This is what they're being told.
So I see someone brought up the dyslexia and ADHD. So have you ever dyslexia or people mistaken someone for being autistic and it turns out they're dyslexic? Or
I haven't heard of
because
it.
I mean, people used to go, oh, they're just stupid. They have to go do the special class, before they found out how, people see letters backwards and things like that.
There's a lot of judgment. And what happens if you're starting to get judged, you start feeling pressure.
Right.
And you feel pressure, you may be not responding at your highest level of focus and brain optimization. So, that's something that needs to be addressed and talked about.
Now, I'm just saying, I did not call him stupid. That I just remember
in
elementary school when they
special class.
Right, they would come. They would come and take. I remember a girl, my good friend from the time I was 4. Sorry, I didn't know you yet. They would come and take her out of the class, and other people treated her like she was dumb. And she wasn't. but before the term dyslexia became well known. Okay, so someone brings up Ritalin. All right, so okay, since we're here to talk about the oil stuff, so let's go into treatments. Give Lourdes's voice a chance to rest here for a little bit. So okay, Ritalin. I see Ritalin was brought up. They have Ritalin kids. So
Adderall's a big one too.
right, okay, Adderall. Isn't Adderall for adults?
Same.
That wouldn't
So soon. Okay.
restrict younger children taking it in school. That wouldn't restrict people from taking other mind altering or maybe calming that they think is going to be calming for them as a prescriptions.
Really quick for people, there might be some youngsters who've never heard of Ritalin. Could you briefly explain what is Ritalin, since that was kind of a common thing?
Well, typically somebody who is maybe overacting, shouting out.
Oh, so Ritalin is used.
Hyperactive.
Is used to calm someone down, but
Correct.
if it's
That's
someone
okay.
if someone who doesn't have that behavior,
Mhm.
and you give that person Ritalin, it has the opposite effect.
Well, there
Is that
could be
true?
many different effects from a pharmacogenetic standpoint, which means everybody has a different predisposition to what works well in their body,
Mhm.
and sometimes there's adverse reactions that aren't going to be really what we want
Mhm.
from that result. So we have to watch that.
Now, okay. So now someone else had a question that I also had. It was about diet. How much does diet and exercise help with autism? Sorry, the window's open, so you're gonna hear
More people want to come in.
yeah horn honking.
So for me, it was kind of a poignant moment in our journey, and I had just had Logan officially diagnosed at 2.5 years old, and we were going on a trip to Hawaii, and I had seen Jenny McCarthy, who's a famous comedian, gal MTV,
And Playboy model.
Yeah. So she was on Oprah, and I would pick up Oprah here and there, but I happened to watch Oprah that day, and specifically because I knew Jenny McCarthy was going on there to speak of her son Evan, who
Right, okay.
is autistic, and he was had grand mal seizures at certain points. That's kind of how she found out he was autistic, because she saw him seizing at a very young age in his crib. So she went on Oprah and was talking about the treatment that she did for her son. And she specifically mentioned removing all gluten, casein, and other food allergens. And so for me, Logan was already on a path of not being able to tolerate a lot of food. So when I stopped breastfeeding at 14 months, I switched him to organic whole milk like I did with my daughter, and how I was always told how to, fresh fruits and vegetables and grains and all these wonderful, healthy alternatives, soy milk and whatever. And he was just absolutely in distress. I mean, he was not able to tolerate it. He had 8 to 10 not solid bowel movements a day.
Really quick, I have a niece that she has mitochondrial disease.
Okay, so
and
that's part of autism, by the way. The mitochondrial is affected.
Okay, I was just gonna ask that because I remember one of the things that my sister told me was that they tested her for that, and it was because she wasn't digesting her formula.
Right.
Yeah, it was just sitting in her stomach for all day.
Right. So with a lot of
and by the time she'd already had puncture, from so many
lesions,
from so many surgeries.
Oh gosh.
Because she ended up the feeding tube.
So we were on that path. I mean, Logan was in such distress that, I mean, literally he lost so much weight. He wasn't absorbing anything. He was in constant pain. Food became absolute poison to him. And I was just watching my son in just severe pain, and no one was really able to help me. And when I saw Jenny talking about diet intervention with Evan, I just said, you know what? I'm going to throw caution to the wind here. I've got nothing to lose. I took him off everything that he was currently on. We were going to Hawaii for a month. So I said, we're in Hawaii, so Got to buy all new food anyway. So I went, bought him all organic baby food, took him down to just the organic baby food, took him off all milk, all grains, and I just started giving him whole foods per se, pureed form because he was still young, and started giving him almond milk instead of soy and instead of cow's milk.
Right.
He had his first solid stool in almost a year overnight.
Wow.
I mean, literally, I sat over a diaper and cried. I mean, like, you know, most people don't even.
They cry for a different reason.
They cry for a
Right.
different reason, but I'm
Right.
like sitting there going,
Me boo!
yes, yes.
Okay.
I mean,
All right.
it was a voila, oh my God, this is like, this there's something to, there's a method to this madness. Well,
Right.
I quickly then started researching and realizing the relationship between your gut and your brain.
Uh-huh.
So your gut and your brain are best friends, and if one is disrupted, the other's disrupted. So,
Wow. It's true.
Yes.
They say trust your gut. Bob, I think you wanted to address the.
There's some interesting comments that
Mhm.
Diet isn't as important as maybe some people might think to be very politely answering these inquisitions or questions. It's really,
Right.
it really is important because
Oh, yeah.
what we're trying to do to be staying in a state of homeostasis is bring our regulatory system back into proper regulation.
Right.
And when we're out of that, we don't work as well. Our brains don't work as well. Our digestion don't work as well. Our body just doesn't perform to its highest. So if we don't eat well, we have a high level of inflammation and we have a lot of toxicity in our body,
Mhm.
which if we can find where we are deficient in our diet, we can bring ourselves much closer to homeostasis and have our brains, which ties into autism a little bit, have our brain optimized better,
Mhm.
which causes better focus, better results.
Now, there's one natural substance I know of that helps with inflammation. That's turmeric. Okay,
I
so.
cook with it every day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
turmeric's interesting. If you can get it through and into your systemic system,
Mhm.
the hardest part of turmeric is not that it's not great. It's just hard to, it's not really bioavailable
Right.
in its consistent forms that it's offered to most people.
So, what other kind of substances are?
Our business is something that relates around cannabinoids, which is kind of a unique term of the past. Now it's very
More
it's
gymnastics
very
back
much
there.
in the flow of almost every conversation. What's THC?
What's a
Cannabinoid.
cannabinoid? What do you,
And
a cannabinoid.
cannabinoid?
Yeah, what's a cannabinoid?
Fun word.
One of the most famous cannabinoids we know is THC, and there's about 179 other ones that are really not in the category one. They are actually legal to use now.
Okay.
And cannabinoids, meaning cannabidiol, which is CBD, is something that a lot of people are recognizing as part of a helping way for their current situation. Actually, the body's deficient in that.
So really quick, I just want to give a shout out to Nikki for taking care of the chat here. She's setting people straight in regards to how important diet is.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Nikki.
Nikki.
Yeah.
Well, I will tell you this, and I lived it.
Oh,
and
really
my
quick, I
sons
want to say
lived it.
hello to our moderator, Shelly. He's the only moderator checked in today. Okay.
You know, the old cliche, you are what you eat.
Mm-hmm.
You are what you eat. And so I can tell you that it took probably a good 8 to 9 years to heal my son's gut. We went through a battery of testing. We tested his beneficial flora, or his flora and period. And if you don't know what flora means, it's basically how your biofilm in your gut is and how much good and bad bacteria that you have inside your gut. So when we tested my son at 2.5 years old for his beneficial flora, he had 0 good bacteria. He had all bad bacteria. So that was the only thing that was in his gut was bad bacteria. So he could not absorb anything. He was just trying to get it out of his system, and his gut was ravaged. I mean, to the point where we were looking at going to a gastrointestinal specialist.
An intestinal doctor.
Yes. There you go.
Gastroenterologist,
There you
blah,
go.
blah, blah.
and this physician who actually I got to meet, he's an amazing man. He's renowned in this craft, and he works specifically with people on the spectrum. And he splits his time between New York and Texas. And what he saw and the scopes that he did, because he would do, scopes inside their gut. I mean, the lesions and just the absolute damage that's inside these poor individuals. So then that's where you have all the reaction of people who, slam their bodies on a wall, who are chewing at furniture, who can't sit still, who constantly are self-inflicting harm or harm onto others because they're in constant pain.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're in constant pain, how are
You're
you
kind of cranky.
information?
Well, I was gonna say
You're not.
I'm in constant pain with my back and my neck, and sometimes I'm a cranky ass.
Right.
Bee.
So think about it.
What are we gonna do?
Right.
So I get a sometimes from the peanut gallery over there.
Gallery's back hurt so much I'm hunched over.
Why don't you sit back?
Yeah, I
sit
know,
back.
right? Right.
Why don't you sit back make yourself comfortable back there instead of suffering? Okay, so inflammatory talk. Yes, I'm going to acknowledge you finally. He's like, look, notice me. He's bringing up some inflammatory talk. He's always bringing up some controversial issues or topics or things. All right, so Nikki, back to inflammatory talk. So he's bringing up some different types of treatments or medicating that I believe are derived naturally. And I'm going to let Bob over there handle those, the LSD and mushroom stuff.
What we're going to do first is that we're going to talk about the body needs to have the proper cannabinoids into the body. Otherwise, we are in a little bit of deficiency because we have an endocannabinoid system in our body, and cannabinoids are naturally occurring. Now, Lourdes and I met a while back, and as a great mother, she wanted to try what Zero Plus, our botanical extract, is built upon, which is cannabinoids, including cannabidiol, CBD, and other cannabinoids that we treat a little bit differently.
We have a performance going on back here.
I know.
Should we? Yeah, I was gonna say, should we bring him out here? Do you think he would like?
I know.
I will after he's done singing. He's
Okay.
That's the thing. Now I know.
I think he's sort of like a marionette back there.
And remember, he was nonverbal, by the way. Be careful what you wish for.
He's plenty verbal now. I feel like I've lost my microphone here.
He sings at the top of his lungs. Doesn't matter who's around.
So, in general, if we can give the body systemically enough cannabinoids, the body then is a miraculous machine that starts healing itself. We reduce inflammation, and we also can optimize brain functions and brain waves, which is part of the connectivity that we have been able to show empirical data through some doctors and results with kids with autism, and even families who have an autistic child. They still have a need to reduce their anxiety, stress, and pain. So this is kind of comes
Two for
together.
one.
Yeah.
I see Nikki still going on about the gut and the brain and toxins.
So
Not going on, but
Oh no.
educating.
Well, there
Totally.
is. I mean, the microbiome
Educate
is,
away,
is a
please.
very important part of our whole body and what we eat.
Yep.
But
Mind over matter. That's what people always say, right?
mind over matter, what we can assimilate really does affect us, which is why when people don't eat so well, they're not getting great nutrients into their body because they can't assimilate, even though they're eating and get full. So we're still running in a part of a deficiency mode, which doesn't allow us to have our body work at its best. And Zero Plus helps bring people out of pain naturally and help their brain optimize to get better results, which is a perfect example with Logan.
Okay, so if you haven't guessed, Zero Plus is the name of Bob's company, right?
Yes.
Okay, so which deals in alternative treatments. It's like, I guess right now they're still alternative because pharmaceuticals are the norm.
Correct.
Yeah.
We're a natural, organic alternative that's cannabinoid based. That means there's CBD that everybody realizes, other cannabinoids as well, but we don't include THC in ours, which allows kids to professionals to doctors and athletes to take this without testing.
Really quick, I'm sure there's I know there's people out there still that are CBD. That's part of weed. That's part of pot. I don't get high, right? Or they're
They're misinformed.
right. I mean, there's another listener who actually he has an autistic daughter, but he lives too far, and he can't listen live. And I had spoken to him about CBD previously, and he was like, "Oh no, we have to
Of
ask for it."
course.
Yeah,
I
they're
get
like
that all the time.
fearful.
Yeah.
Now he's like, "Yeah, we're going to check into medical marijuana." Military people also, some that I know, terrified. Like, nope, I don't want weed. So, could you if any of the listeners, or if there's somebody there who's still thinking or who thinks like that, could you explain why they shouldn't be afraid of it, and a little bit more about how it's not weed, you don't get high, and how it helps you exactly.
There's a lot of misinformation, which is why we continually try to educate, because this is cannabis, but we're below 0.3% to be CBD. Since Zero Plus has no THC, we are really a non-detectable, clean alternative. So when you take it, the ingredients are on the label. The certificate of analysis is on the website. The microbial reports on there for kids and parents who want to make sure that they're treating them naturally, not getting them high.
Really quick, but you touched on something. So I have because I don't like pills, I don't like pharmaceuticals, or I don't even take aspirin. And I've kind of I consider myself new because I wasn't a stoner, right? I didn't smoke weed, so I wasn't familiar with THC, CBD, and all that stuff. The first time I went, and when I got I call it my weed license for anxiety and gut disorders, as a matter of fact, there was actually an Eastern medicine doctor that saw me to verify. Oh yeah, okay, yes, I will authorize this prescription. Um. Anyway, so some of this, because I don't like THC, I don't want to get high. I have muscle spasms. I just want the CBD, and when in California, when they passed recreational drugs, recreational use, uh, the things changed inside the dispensary. As far as like how they label things, and now things are in portions. And I get the little card that gives me a breakdown of what's in it, but there's like 13% that's unaccounted for. What, like, so I'm sorry. So that you were kind of like saying something. So what's in that 13%? Sometimes, do you think?
Maybe a more appropriate answer would be that you have to really be informed. You have to know what the ingredients are. You kind of have to know what you're looking for, because unless you can get about 25 milligrams of CBD into your body systemically, you're not going to really get a great reaction to it. Sometimes we're strong-minded. We will get a little bit of placebo or subjective, which is great. But if we really want the natural cannabinoids to work in our body, we have to get enough into our systemic system to do so. And that's one of the things that we have evolved to do with our brand, is increase the absorption through technology, which is why enough gets into the body to elicit great results without having to get high, which is masking the pain. We're actually treating the body in its appropriate pathway.
Now I have a question. How does it know where to go?
The body has C1 and C2 pathways, so brain and body. And what happens with that is when our body's running deficient, it needs it because we're not really eating as great as we could. You can blame it on the soils. You can blame it on being
environmental.
The quick fix at Max or fast
right. Industrial farming. Going back a couple weeks ago. No, but I mean, when a person ingests the, I don't know, various types of, I don't know, what do you call it, mixture, solution. Now, are some of them ingestible, some of them topical?
So
And that's what I meant. Like, how does it know where to go?
Well,
If you're taking it for a migraine or your stomach, how does it know where to go?
It's interesting because you have sublinguals which get into your body really quick because you have a sublingual gland in your mouth, and that's a more of a systemic overall feeling.
Oh, got apple please.
The topical is maybe for your shoulder or your back that's hurting right now, because typically it can go directly to that area of pain and get into into your body systemically at that point.
Okay, so someone said they started smoking weed because they had severe migraines at the age of 11. They started.
How'd that work for you? I mean, I really want to know.
Still, I
if
think
it's working. Maybe it's a short term, but everybody has different reasons why their body again is out of regulation, and then there's a cause and effect. For some people, they get the migraine. But sometimes if we can get enough cannabinoids into the body, we have a lot of folks that don't suffer that migraine every month or twice a month.
Oh, so you think that person's because that person's you could ask them yourself. So that person's ingesting too much THC and not enough CBD.
Theoretically, or not. Let's put it this way: they're not getting enough CBD.
Okay, so how could you fix that problem? How could you make sure that people out there are getting enough CBD?
It's difficult because there's a lot of people entering the market because it's fashionable, and I can get CBD in my water. I can get CBD in a vape. I can get CBD at the store.
Okay, right. So which one is except now? Okay.
Very few of those work.
Okay.
Because you don't get enough of the CBD that becomes bioavailable into your systemic system.
So, like, for instance, hypothetically, a capsule, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that would be ingesting the oil of it as opposed to smoking the dried.
Yeah, smoking is a little bit more difficult than a vape. There's a lot of other things going on there, like what's in the mix.
Right.
So you have to put polyglycol in there, which is certainly not organic. That's smoking through a vape.
Oh.
Now, when you use a proper brand that's all naturally organically based, then it's going into your body, much like all the ingredients that you're deficient in. So it's going to work a little better if you get enough dosage. Now, it's expensive to get enough milligrams if you can't get them into your body through your dermis or through your sublingual.
Okay.
Now, that's one of the things that we did with Logan and with you.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
Made sure enough went in there.
All right. So now let's move to how the two of you come together. Okay.
Exactly. This is the fun part.
The fun part of the show. All right. So we have a mother with an autistic child that she's been trying all these different things, and a guy named Bob. Who deals with alternative medication. How did the two of you connect, and who brought you together, and what did all that entail?
Okay.
Is it in this book? It could be.
Oh my gosh.
Documents that I
could
printed out.
do a book.
Well, yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a book at some point.
Right. No, these are the documents I printed
Oh,
out.
yes. Okay.
Okay. So do you want to go over any of this stuff? Because to me, it's Greek to me. It's Greek to me.
Yeah. So the reason why I found out about Zero Plus was through a close friend of mine, and I started dancing again. And as we know,
jealous. Go ahead.
Dancing pain free.
Oh.
Well,
right.
Yeah, right. So 44. Well, actually, it was 42 when I started dancing again. But so, anyways, your body doesn't work like it used to, and all these old ailments come back to the surface in a very, very harsh way.
Yeah, I like my neck is always on fire.
Yeah. So I started dancing again, and inflammation happened. My tendons, my Achilles, just
Shelly, can you move that? Sorry.
Not so good.
Feedback.
Yeah. So through this friend, he would tell me, he's like, you really need to try this topical that I have. He's like, it worked wonders for my shoulder. And I'm the typical person who would ice it, throw icy hot, drink some Advil, and then call it a day. Got through it, and then the next day just go back at it. And I'm an avid exercise gal, anyways.
Right.
So I started using this, and it was very telling for me because it was almost automatic relief. And so I thought, wow, that's incredible. So I came out to LA and was doing my normal walk down Ventura Boulevard for 8 miles back and forth, to go get coffee and do my other thing.
Not to describe where we're at. Sorry, just kidding.
Secret house. So I remember going to a place like a dispensary and walking up to them and saying, "Do you have anything topical that I can put on for pain relief?"
Right.
Because it was just throbbing my feet were on fire.
Right.
And I said, I can't even put on my shoes, like, because they were so inflamed.
Oh, because you're out here doing that training.
Yes, I was doing training with a special gal. Anyway, so they handed me this bottle. It was about $85, and I said, "Yeah, I'll take it." And I lathered myself, and I'm like, this is not working. So I went downstairs, ice machine, did the whole thing, and I thought, wow, I just blew $85 for nothing. But I used the whole entire bottle in 4 days,
Mhm.
and because I was just lathering
Can I
myself
get
in
apple
it.
juice, please?
I'll get you apple juice. Hold on, bud. So still mom. Anyway, so I got back home to Austin, Texas, and went to my friend. I said, "Order me a bottle of this." I said, I said, "Look at what I got and look what I paid for, and I don't feel any benefit." And so he handed me half of his bottle and said, "Just take it." And I said, "Okay, cool." And I said, "But just go ahead and order this." And this is just the topical form.
Okay.
So a couple days later, we're hanging out, and he said, the scientist who's a friend of mine mentioned the other day that he works with some kiddos on the spectrum, and he has a sublingual form that helps with anxiety, depression, and sleep deprivation. He's like, "Would you ever want to give that a whirl with your son?" And I said, "Well, if it does anything like it does to my feet, well, why wouldn't I?"
Happy feet.
Happy feet. But my whole method with Logan has always been testing and treating. I don't believe in blind faith. I don't believe in just doing any type of protocol without having some facts and true validity based on what's going on with my son. Because again, this is a spectrum disease. Not everybody is the same. And our biochemistry is not the same, right? From me to you to you.
Right.
So this was the first time I threw caution to the wind, and I decided to dose him. And not to sound sensationalized about this, but because I'm a mother of a special needs kid, I'm a mother of a daughter who's been clinically diagnosed with anxiety and depression. So I'm not seeing things that aren't really there, and I'm not here to blow smoke up my own ass. So
Or anyone else.
or anybody else.
Okay, so now you sent me this quantitative EEG analysis, and
Yes.
you said that there was what is this? This is the
This is kind of the short version of
okay,
this long version.
okay. I was gonna say there was a analysis before and one after.
So what I decided to do on my
Okay,
own.
okay. So this is 5 minutes post treatment. Okay.
Because I said to my friend, I go, in order for me to stand by something personally and to be able to know that I'm actually believing what I'm seeing with my son, because in a matter of hours, my son said and behaved in ways that he has never done before in 13 years. Now he's 14 years as of like 2 days ago. This was just a few months ago that we started dosing him.
Really quick, are these all images of your son, or are these
that's
other
my
people?
son's brain.
Okay, so can I hold it up? All right.
Go ahead.
I don't know if anyone can see it. So this is what I'm skimming through right now. So this is the yeah. I was gonna say, what's a Brodmann area? What does that mean? I have no
Do you
clue.
know? I'm not a scientist.
Yeah,
Do you want to?
this is a overview of different
You can show them too.
different readings of Logan on a before and after basis with different brain waves, and they run at different megahertzes.
All right, really quick. I'm just gonna hold it up really quick,
Okay,
closer, so that they can just sort of get
So
it.
before I go get apple juice for my son, I just want to reiterate that what I ended up doing, and I had never been told this before, and mind you, I've done every single test known to man when it comes to autism and treatment.
Okay.
So, collecting stool, urine, and blood has been part of our gamut for the last 14 years. So I'm impervious to all bodily fluids at this point. And so and I had his neurotransmitters tested as well. So one thing that no one has ever offered me or suggested to me with Logan was brain mapping. No one has ever said it. This was the first time that anyone ever recommended it. So it was from the scientist, because the scientist who created this formula, this sublingual that Logan was now taking, and the topical that I was now taking, using on my feet, suggested we brain map.
Now, really quick, I want to butt in. I don't know if I feel like I can't hear me.
Talk more about brain mapping as I go get juice.
Right. Okay, good. So Bob and I are going to get into it here.
Comes off.
Oh, it's okay if my hat comes off all the time. Right. Okay. So, oh, now he brings it early, 5 minutes ago.
Juice, organic,
Yeah,
natural.
she, what she said, my son needs apple juice. We all three sat there and looked at it. At least I did. Right. He's on his
You know
phone.
what? Let's switch chairs. And
Right,
You can talk
okay.
about this, and then I'll talk about the other stuff.
Okay.
And I'm gonna
Yeah, poor Bob. His stomach is on the screen right here. So, oh, hey, that's a little bit uncomfortable. Okay, okay, all right, awkward. Okay, so, all right, let's
This one
turn
too.
the camera a little bit more this way.
This one shows the other side too.
All right, okay. So, brain mapping. Now, I'm going to say there's some controversy in regards to brain mapping that I've heard. There's now on an individual level or oh, hey, apple juice lady, we can see you.
There you go.
Hi. I mean, I've heard there's some controversy in regards to brain mapping. Some people think it's I don't know, snake oil, even though it's not an oil, brain mapping. But is it why is it necessary in some situations, and how come everybody doesn't do it? I've heard people, other scientists talk about that they just do it like in a study, for instance, not on an individual level. So can you explain why, what's your take on that, and why to you it's not controversial?
Well, I think that
And-
there's controversy that could be in almost anything because there's people who are proficient at it and there's people who are pretending to be proficient at it. One of the nice things about brain mapping, though, is it provides empirical data. So you can actually look inside your own brain and look at the megahertzes of the different wavelength patterns, and then visually see how your brain looks and where there might be hot spots that would identify areas of concern that could be treated with therapy of using brainwaves and learning through that versus just medicine.
Okay, so I'm trying to bring the table a little bit closer so that Bob can hold it up a little bit,
There you go.
get so people. Oh well, now you're gonna have to put it back on the spot though. Thanks, thank you.
So what's interesting is I like to be able to have empirical data
Mhm.
when we're talking about something or suggesting a change, because people who like research and people want to have a true answer don't just always trust a doctor's opinion because they say it's going to work. They like to see the results,
Mhm.
and brain mapping is a way that we can actually show the results from before and after, and examples of what happens with 0+ before a child with autism and what the results are after. We're able to measure this now.
Okay, how? So you're able to measure it, and my eye line suddenly moved, but anyway, and explain.
So what we did to measure this, and we did it in a study where it was third party from us,
Mhm.
is we had Logan brain mapped before 0+ was put under his tongue subliminally,
Okay.
and then brain mapped him again about 5 minutes later. And when I say we brain mapped him, this was a third party that did it. I wasn't even in town.
Okay.
It was a gal named Dr. Jan Mustin in Austin. She further then took the results and had Dr. Robert Thatcher, a very well read and expert in autism.
Now,
and
is he a
brain mapping.
neuroscientist?
I believe so.
Okay, I guess I was told.
I
Okay.
didn't know either of these people beforehand,
Okay.
so I really didn't have a hand in this. But we've done a lot of brain mapping in Denver with a group called RAWTALK, which has half a dozen locations now. So we've done 20, 30, 40 different people on before and afters just to validate if something was working for them or not. So when Logan had his results sent to Dr. Thatcher, which was a doctor removed from a doctor, and the results from Dr. Thatcher came back where he said that there was very nice results in the functioning and compensatory skills and results from the child. That was really unique because people hadn't gone to the extreme aspects that we have done
Mhm.
to validate this through an empirical database with third-party doctors.
Okay. All right. I don't even know what empirical means.
Empirical means something that you can prove in court. For
Okay.
example, there's evidence backing it versus subjective, which is like,
Oh.
oh yeah, my friend Bob says my shoulder feels better.
Right. Okay.
And you're like, yeah, Bob's whatever. But it's really
Okay.
it's,
Oh.
hello.
Hi. Sound.
That was just a sound check.
Sound check. Yeah. Toilets do flush in here, apparently. Okay.
So that's the difference between
Okay.
subjective and empirical. Most of the people that have something that's natural and organic that's going on in the world right now, they don't have a way to actually validate the results. Utilizing brain mapping with Zero Plus in our patients have helped us provide that type of empirical or truth-backed results.
Okay. So, since the mom is still out of the room, could you, from what she said, or what you, or maybe have you worked with other autistic people?
Yes, we have.
Persons?
Yes, we have.
Okay. So, in what ways did you see a difference between what is normally prescribed or normal type of treatment? Okay, sorry. Oh, we heard that.
Oh, the toilet.
Everybody heard that.
Sorry.
So
There's toilets in life.
Just
Yeah.
a little apple juice.
we're in a small room. There's a toilet over there. Okay, so since we're already at the 1 hour mark. I'm gonna jump a little bit. Wave. All right. So now let's get
I
into.
can stay there.
I
Let-
want you
let-
to sit in the middle.
Okay.
This is your
Oh,
show.
we're gonna do this again. Musical chairs.
Yep.
And the eye line has moved. My eye line, I was used to looking over there, but someone decided to move it over here.
It's not a big change.
It is a big change because now I'm staring at myself instead of the
Oh,
thing. Okay, and we're back. Oh, now we got to rotate it out a little bit. Okay, Bob, you're gonna need to cozy in a little bit to Lourdes. Okay, okay, all right. So wave. All right. So one of the other reason that we're here today is because Lourdes wants to announce the launch of a new foundation.
Yes.
And could you explain what it is and the name of it?
Sure.
And who'd you name it after?
Well, obviously named it after my son.
And
So
what's the name of it?
it's called Logan's Way.
Logan's Wave. Dun, 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 dun. Wait, let's see.
The logo's there. Dun, dun, dun.
They can see it the right way. Logan's Wave, and he's on a surfboard. That's
Not a surfboard.
with
So
flowers.
Logan's.
Oh, puzzle pieces.
And those puzzle pieces are significant of the people
I
on
get
the
it.
spectrum.
Okay. Oh, wait, okay. I'm just gonna, from my observation of this, I see really quick. I see puzzle pieces over here,
Uh-huh.
and then balance right there.
And the yin yang
The
sign.
yin yang.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm assuming that
I can
Logan's
explain
Wave. Oh, I should just go ahead and explain it.
So I would let me just
Go ahead.
show and tell. So well, initially we had started off with a different name. I did, and then when I got together with a very close friend of mine who happens to be an amazing artist, his name's Ricky Garcia.
I had posted that
I
video.
need to make an acknowledgement of that beautiful man. He helped me kind of work through this because he said to me, what's the premise behind this? And I said, go
Right.
ahead.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, because the video that I posted, he mentioned. So what's his name?
Ricky Garcia.
Ricky Garcia, not to be confused with Rick Garcia, a well-known photographer to some people. Ricky Garcia is an artist. All right. So he mentioned that there was a name change, and I didn't understand. Okay, so
So
now.
initially was saying Logan's Run. And
Got it.
running towards the water.
Well, you couldn't because that's a
wave.
movie.
And it is a movie. And I didn't want people to resonate with that. And, he was like, well, what about Logan's Wave? Because you say that he loves the waves and he loves to crash on the waves and he loves to body surf. Like my son can body surf like nobody else.
In Texas?
No.
Okay. All right. So I assumed that the wave meant the journey. The journey.
No, it's all
Okay.
correlated.
And
So
brainwaves.
and the brainwaves.
And brainwaves.
That's what Ricky mentioned too. He's like, because we're building on the premise that Logan's brainwaves changed after 5 minutes of a dosing.
Mhm.
And that in fact did happen. And so, the proof is in the reporting and the brain mapping. and then also what I have seen and subsequently have seen in development.
Could someone hand me that chat over there? Thanks. So I'm not staring at the screen.
Yeah.
All right,
Chris
thank
wanted
you.
the chips.
Chips. Oh, okay. No, I wanted the chat so I could see what people are writing.
So
All right, go
Ricky
ahead.
came up with this formula, and we tweaked it, and we were going back and forth, back and forth. I mean, it was like a constant conversation between him and I, and he was all excited about doing this. And when you have friends who are so incredibly talented, who just look at you and go, "Yeah, absolutely, I'll do that for you." You're just like, okay, that makes my world go round. Like they're like-minded people find each other. So hence.
Right.
So,
Really, sorry. I want to going off really on a tangent really quick, but then I want to come right back. The scientist in this chat mentioned environmental pollution. In your experience, have you heard has environmental pollution in different ways other than stress? Does that lead to any type of?
Look, there's a lot of toxins that get into the body that increases toxicity, which then increases the inflammation of the body, and once again, that moves us out of proper regulation. So that is definitely something we're living with.
Mm-hmm.
I just read an article on the way here where the air that we're breathing sometimes in some of the houses is worse than outside.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
it's not being managed.
Right. You know what? Actually, I have the topic I have coming up in a week or two is actually going to be about environmental pollution. I don't know if you're in the area, but I'd love to have you back to talk about that. Anyway, side note, go ahead.
But also with that, I mean, most people on the spectrum, or if you have a compromised immune system, you cannot detoxify naturally. So
Right.
you end up ingesting and keeping a hold of those things, which obviously have a metaphysical effect on you. So yeah.
I've heard of
it's all related.
glutathione for a situation like that. So is now glutathione's natural.
Mhm.
All right. So, but we're here to talk about CBD. So
Next week.
Yeah, there we
okay.
go.
So all right.
So the foundation, back to that, is basically Ricky helped correlate, formulate this wonderful logo that encapsulates who my son is, his journey, where he's going, because it is a yin yang. It is. I tell people being on the spectrum is like a do-si-do, or two steps forward, one step back. That's how it felt very much for pretty much the whole entire time. And now I'm at a place with Logan that it's only going forward. We're not stepping back. We have little minutes, we have blips in our radar where he sometimes puts one little heel back,
Mhm.
but it's not 2 steps back or 40 steps back, which Logan has regressed. I can remember clearly 2 times in the last 14 years that were so significant that I thought we're back at ground zero. And that was devastating.
I'm really sorry.
It's part of the process. It's part of
He's
the
laughing.
process.
He's having a
And,
great time.
where he is now, I mean, it's
So-
all part of the journey.
All right. So what is your what is Logan's foundation, Logan's Wave? What is it focusing on? What is its purpose? What is it going to be doing?
And we're still formulating it. This is the infancy realm. I mean, we're just launching it today, technically. So at some point here in the next couple of months, we will have a foundation where we want to introduce an alternative, safe, natural form of treatment.
Okay.
And I know what the sublingual has done with Logan and with myself, because I take it every day, with my daughter who has anxiety, clinically diagnosed with anxiety and depression, and she takes it twice a day. And other people that I know that I have introduced it to have had wonderful results, not just typical, not just the topical, but also the sublingual. I also give it to people who have pets, who have,
Right.
I mean, there's other different formulas of it.
I was gonna say we could go into that, but because we're here specifically to talk about autism,
Sure.
but we will list the website
Yeah.
and on the after the live thing we'll list it in the description, in the credits, in the description, in the caption area. So for those of you, because I'm noticing our people must be going to bed now on the East Coast because our chat's getting smaller. But for anyone who is interested in finding out more about it, on how to give it to your pets, your farm animals, or yourself, and what you could use it for, that information will be available. So, but back to the Logan's Wave.
So basically what I want to do was help families, help parents like myself who feel hopeless and helpless and don't feel like they have an outlet, and don't
I
feel like they
know.
have a support system,
I know.
don't know which way to go, are told so many different things. There's a lot of noise pollution when it comes to treatment of autism. There's a lot of strong feelings about autism in general. My whole thing is I have never put my son on psychotropic drugs. I never will. I will never put my daughter on psychotropic drugs. I never will. I stand by that. I believe in treating naturally, holistically, and fact-based. And so I want to introduce this to everybody else who feels like me, who has felt like me, and didn't have a resource. And I want to project that forward and make sure that we're out there healing people and giving them alternative treatment that is cost effective as well. And at some point, we're going to try to be able to subsidize that cost so that we can make sure that people who don't have the means to get it can get it.
There's a real
Wow, that's really, I have to
benefit here is to
I'd
be
say
able to
that's really
educate.
noble. Right. No, but I mean, I think that's amazing. That's awesome to not just bring awareness, but to help make it accessible.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We can make it accessible, and we can educate others what Lourdes has experienced with Logan. That's really the desire here, because people just don't know what they don't know yet.
Right.
And it's okay to be skeptical. It's okay to ask a lot of questions. It's great to be a mom and be that filter, because that's how it should be. But then look for empirical data and talk to people who are in your situation and who can really tell you what the experience has been.
Right.
That's what makes me proud to be part of this.
Okay.
So let me,
I'm gonna let these two take the show
Well,
over.
no, hold on.
No, seriously.
No, but what I wanted to say, my biggest thing for doing the brain mapping is because I know there are people who are like, you saw what you saw because you wanted to see Logan say and behave and do these things. I'm not here to pretend I see anything. So, but I also know how I am. I need to see it in a report. I need to have science behind it so that when I'm speaking in an open forum like this, or to you, or to someone on the street, I can say, well, look, in 5 minutes, before, after, 5 minutes, no joke. I mean, like when you have physicians who are renowned in neurofeedback and neuroscience running around their office like giddy schoolgirls, excited about showing you your son's report, where, I was sitting there going, why are they so excited? Oh my God, because I walked in going, I don't know what I'm going to see. I don't know what I'm going to see. I hope I see something. I did not expect to see what I saw, and neither did they.
Okay, so seeing what you saw on the reporting. Now, what did you see physically in physicality in reality? The difference between the day before he started taking it and the day after he started taking it. Like, describe what the difference is that you saw in your son.
But so
a lot of sounds here. Let's talk about noise pollution.
We've got it.
Yeah, here we go. Welcome to California.
So in a matter of hours, Logan started speaking to me in a way that he normally doesn't. I mean, like normally Logan doesn't engage in conversation unless he wants something or has a demand or has a want.
All right.
And so one of the things that he said to me out of nowhere, out of the blue, came up to me, and this is pretty poignant, and I mean, I'll never forget it. He said, what the world needs now is more love and peace and kindness. And I was like, whatever. Oh my God. My daughter came out of her room and said, what did he just say?
I thought you were going to say the world don't move to the beat of just one drum.
No.
And I was about to lose my mind.
I was laughing because I was like, I had tears in my eyes. And I said, what did you just say? Because the world needs more love, peace, and kindness. And he just had this big old grin on his face. And Shelby and I just started laughing because he's never said that before. The other thing that he did that was very monumental was he doesn't like to listen to other people's music. He's much more, I listen to my music, you guys have to deal. So I decided to put method to the madness, and I pulled up my Pandora. I was cooking. I put it on my channel. I kept it at a volume that was loud enough for everybody to hear. And he let me play it, and I played it for 6 hours straight.
Wow, I thought you were going to say 6 minutes.
6 hours.
6, okay, so.
It was from 4 to 10. I'll never forget it because I looked
wow.
at the clock, and I said, and I was like, you know what? Let's see how long he lasts. He sat there within earshot for 6 hours ish because he was trying to fall asleep. But and ate his food, watched his iPad, did his thing, and no earphones, no earbuds, nothing, and tolerated the entire thing.
So really quick, I just want to give a shout out to Ray, Activate LA. He has a show as well here in LA, and he's saying that he's enjoying the show. Thank you, Ray.
Yay!
Yay, we
Thanks,
love
Ray.
it. We love it when people. Oh, we bumped up to 1:08.
Good.
Okay, so I obviously this chat, this broadcast, I didn't read as much that I
Too
normally
much
do.
information.
Yeah.
Maybe next time.
Plus I'm blind.
Well, let me do this.
So okay, so those are the things. All right,
Yeah.
so those the people that have children or are themselves or family members can probably relate a lot more to what you
Oh,
just
gosh,
said.
yeah. I mean, it's
And-
just a simple, something as simple as listening to music out loud. Well, everybody goes, well, you're the parent, so you dictate what your children listen to.
So
Well,
wait, so
no,
like
no.
for 14 years you haven't been able to
No.
listen to, and then
No,
one
no.
day suddenly for 6
Yes.
hours
Yes.
you're like, oh my, so it's like a Calgon take me away moment.
It was a moment. I remember texting my friend Michael,
Uh-huh.
who introduced me to the topical form at first, and then subsequently the sublingual. And I remember saying to him, "You will not believe me if I told you this, that I'm watching my son act and behave and tolerate things that he's never done in 13 years. Ever.
Do you think he would be willing to come onto the here and just wave to everyone, say
Logan,
hi?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Hey, look.
I mean, we're sitting here talking
you
about
want to
him.
come over here and say hi?
'Cause-
Well, he'll get a trick because he'll see himself on camera.
Right,
Look.
because we're at 1 hour and 18 minutes.
Come here. You want to put your hat on? Yes. come
The
on.
hat is from Georgie's and Mommy's Finds, by the way. Blue hat.
Yeah, sure. You want to take off your earbuds for a minute?
Okay.
Can you take them off?
Oh, he looks.
Oh, he looks so handsome.
I was gonna say he looks
Here,
really
you want to
handsome.
see yourself? Look.
In
I don't think he needs a watch. Look.
case he wants to,
What
right?
you want to sit? Look.
Here you go.
Look. Who's that? Oh, nice. Fixing yourself up.
Nice.
Oh wow. I noticed he's got a little mustache happening
Yeah,
already.
He's all young boy now.
Oh, he's really cute.
Look at this.
Look
Oh,
how
Oh,
cute.
oh.
Super cool. Huh?
Super cute. Hey.
You wave to everybody? Logan.
Hi.
Hi.
How, so
Hi.
how,
Hey, Logan.
I think I do.
it looks like he's a rock star.
I think.
Logs. What does this say? What does this say?
Logan's waves.
Yay!
That's okay.
I think I do one song. Come on.
So-
He's
so-
doing Count Von Count from Sesame Street.
Okay. Oh no, so I wanted to ask. I wanted to ask you, how does Logan feel about having his name on a T-shirt? How does he feel about having? Does he? Right now it's just his name on a T-shirt, but he doesn't like.
And now he's never gonna get over.
Oh,
that.
okay. Now we made it. We created a monster over here.
Yeah, we might have started something that I'm
Oopsie.
gonna follow up with.
Okay.
Woo.
So,
Well, here's everybody.
Blue's Clues.
That's one of his
So,
favorites.
Logan, how was your trip with your mom on the airplane?
Did you like the airplane ride? Did you like the airplane? Yes. Did you like the airplane?
Yes.
Yes.
He's
Okay.
a great traveler. He loves to be in motion. Any planes, cars, automobiles, roller coaster, anything. But no, I think this is gonna. Yeah. He's not shy.
So, really, one thing I want to say, because people had asked about how you are aware of when your son is uncomfortable, and yours was really nice and decent. Could you just really quick say what does Logan do when he's feeling uncomfortable?
Well, mostly he'll plug his ears.
Right.
So he's trying to like detach from what's going on.
Ah.
And then he'll ask to leave.
He'll just say, "I want to leave the room."
or he says, turn it off, or I need to go
ah,
outside. He'll want the first escape route. For
Right.
Sure. Yeah. Or he'll just walk out.
Now you also
I mean, he won't run away, but he'll just walk out.
mentioned all right. You also mentioned noise canceling headphones.
Yes.
Noise canceling headphones, because I know there's people. out there that are want to know how it is that you deal with loud noises. So noise counseling headphones are one thing. There was something that another parent said, that they prepare their child by letting them know, we're going to turn the vacuum on now.
Oh yeah, no. Before, especially like about 3 years ago, I started writing out, because Logan's a very visual learner. I started writing out everything, like our schedule for the day. I would say, okay, so at 8 o'clock we're going here, at 10 o'clock we're going here, and I would physically write it out, and then I would go through the day and just cross off everything that we were doing. And if we didn't get to whatever we were doing, if we didn't go to the grocery store, it was no harm or foul to him, because
Wow.
he already had mentally prepared
For the fact that you're going to fail.
Yeah,
Okay.
All
All right. So,
one time.
all right. So what do you, okay. So today's the day you're announcing its existence.
Yes.
What's next after, as soon as we
Stop
turn off
talking.
turn
Oh, you
off
want
the
us to
camera?
stop talking? Look at that. So
Oh.
he wants us- yeah.
Oh, okay.
See?
Oh, okay. So what's the next step for Logan's Wave and zero? I'm sorry.
Microphone.
Oh, you want the microphone? Yeah.
Oh.
We can hear you just fine.
You have a bigger microphone than I
Oh,
do
watch
right
out. No,
there.
he's gonna grab it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, here we go. Oh my gosh. So, all right. Look, so I'm gonna excuse you now. Hey, you can turn it up.
Okay.
So the next step is to obviously.
Oh, he's smart.
Yeah. So the next step is to build out the foundation.
Shelly.
You might want to cut it. Yeah, the microphone. Otherwise, he's going to dominate it. Hey, Logs. All right, we're all done. 5,
Other side.
4,
Oh man, there's gonna be a
3,
fight. There's gonna be fisticuffs are gonna go down here.
We're good.
Yeah. All right. Oh, you kind of. Oh. Unfortunately, now I just found out that microphone controls the whole thing.
All right, there we go.
Oh, he's dismantling the box. Good thing we still have this one over here.
Logs,
Okay.
all done. Go ahead.
All right. So let's go ahead and end the show.
Well, the next steps are just to basically build out the foundation and set the guidelines as to what we're going to do as far as being able to supplement costs.
There we go.
For, families who are interested in trying this alternative medicine, and get more information out there, have a lot more communication between parents and physicians and other folks who are in the autism community. So it's going to be a good landing pad and just an awareness and an open conversation for people to be able to find resources and support.
Okay.
I think there's people willing to help now that there's more of a natural solution that a mother and a child can point to that actually has results that are empirically based.
Mm-hmm.
And people of all levels are looking for that versus just staying with medications that obviously aren't the best for your body anyway, right?
Right.
Kids.
I'm actually eager. Okay, we're gonna end the show real quick. Okay, so really quick, these hats you can find at Georgie's and Mommy's Finds in North Hollywood, and as usual, you go to the. Yeah, just turn the camera around on him.
Barry, what's going on?
We have found a star.
Say hello to them.
Say hello, everyone.
Okay.
Pizza.
Pizza.
Well,
All right, here. Thanks, Logs. Thank you. Love you. All right, we're good.
Okay, so
Let's just sign off now.
right, yeah.
Oh,
But all right, Lourdes, you might want to read that last comment. Oh, okay. So we lost sound again. All right. So as usual, the hats, all three of them, can. He's way too smart.
Yes, yeah, you're not gonna get over on
All
this.
right. The hats can be found at Georgie's and Mommy's Finds in North Hollywood.
Thank you.
This one is originally from Saks Fifth Avenue. I think it's from the 1970s.
Ew,
And
nice vintage.
this hat right here has been worn by myself and Miss Brianna Banks. If you want a hat that's been worn by myself, Miss Brianna Banks, and Bob, this fancy fedora is available. This one is a little bit of an experimental one that I glued together myself. So if you want a hat that was glued together by Melissa Hill, that's also available. All right, and I want to say thank you to
Logan.
no, I thought maybe he was going to say his name. All right. I want to say thank you to Wolfman Jack over here.
Yes.
Logan and Logan's Wave. Oh, and his hat is also from Georgie's and Mommy's Fine. The page boy hat. Okay. So on that note, we are going to sign out, I think. And is there any final words you guys want to give while I'm doing my final disaster here?
Bob, you can go first.
We're very pleased to be part of this journey with Logan and so many other autistic kids on the spectrum, and families who are going through this, where we can provide some great options for them to at least learn about.
Okay. All right. Rapper over here. Lourdes. Okay, we're just gonna go ahead and sign out. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and sign out, and tune in next week. We may or may not have another scientist on the show. Okay, and we're out. There we go.
Yay! Did it!
All right.
Oh, we're still. Where did it go again? And as usual, there's always some
All
sort
right
of.
now.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
still on the air right
All over
now. Okay, Kelly, where did it go?
What?
The never mind.
I can't say